Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Hour number 3 begins right now. It's about 9 past 5 o'clock. Thank you for being out there with us. A great conversation with Congressman Andy Ogles, touching on a number of different topics. Andy announcing during that conversation $75 million in a facility that's coming to Nashville, Tennessee to benefit our veterans. A little bit vague on the details, but Andy promised that he would get us some further details when they become available. So that's great news. Also discussing Belmont University, the decision on the part of the Speaker of the House to leave town as opposed to allow the Democrats to turn what should be a final few votes into a dog and pony show. There are different ideas on that. I would stay and stick had I been in the halls of Congress or in a decision-making capacity, but Speaker Johnson decided to leave a little bit early. That might be a question for our next guest. You never know. We're in the midst of we're in the midst of campaign season. It seems odd to say that in 2025, but it's true. For those who haven't been keeping up with this, obviously we got a lot of things that are shaking out, right, in Tennessee. And I was just talking to Jody Barrett about this, how exciting things are about to be, because you've got the governor's race that's coming up next year. Obviously, you've got all of the congressional campaigns that are a normal part of the cycle. But with John Rose making the decision to throw his hat in the ring to be the next governor of the state of Tennessee, with Governor Bill Lee being term limited, that opens up the 6th congressional district race. And a number of different candidates have already come out and said, hey, I want to be your next 6th congressional district congressman. Great. Well, in the midst of all of that happening, we had Congressman Mark Green making an announcement that after the big, beautiful bill passes, he's planning on retiring. And that kind of opened the door for the 7th congressional district. But it also creates a generous level of confusion because 6th congressional district is a year from now. That's the normal cycle of things, and we got plenty of time to talk about that. It'll be here before you know it. The governor's election will be here before you know it as well. But the 7th congressional district, that's a different animal because that's a special election, and we don't even know when the dates are going to be specifically, but we do know who some of the candidates are going to be, and I've invited them all on. And toward that end, Representative Jody Barrett, who currently represents Dixon. I always forget the counties, and you always Lewis.
Yes.
Dixon. Hickman.
You got it. Ding, 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 ding.
Representative Jody Barrett is in as a representative of those communities and as a candidate for the 7th Congressional District. What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just laying around, not doing a whole lot of anything right now.
You're just running around, man. I know you're busy. I talked to you last week. I said, Jody, when are you coming on? He said, I can't come on this week. I'm out. And I'm like, come on. I'm out. I'm in the communities. I'm meeting and greeting folks. But, yeah, this thing is crazy, right? Because tell me what best we know about have you heard when the primary is going to be? Have you heard when the general is going to be?
I have been told, I won't say the name of where I heard this from because I don't want to get him in trouble, but I've been told that we can anticipate perhaps the governor issuing the writ tomorrow.
Okay.
And so if the writ comes out tomorrow, it looks like the dates for the primary and the general will be October 7th and December 2nd.
Okay.
So we're talking a very short runway here for 8, 10, 12 candidates, however many we end up with on the Republican side of things.
Is it going to be that many?
I know of at least 8 right now, and with the people that are floating around kind of kicking rocks trying to decide whether or not they're going to get in, it could be as many as 10 or 12.
Better get in quick.
Yeah. Come on in, guys. The water's warm.
Jody says as many, the more in the pool, the better.
That's right.
And then you've got the Democrat. They've got 2.
There are 3 now, I think.
Are they really?
I think Vincent Dixie's going to get in as well. So you got Bo Mitchell, Afton Bain, and Vincent Dixie.
I'm excited not only for this conversation, but I'm excited this Friday. We got Afton coming back on the show. So
this for round 2, right?
Yeah, round 2. She was on before. We had a great conversation about who actually pays taxes last time around, and
right.
This time around we're going to have a good conversation about what is and is not against the law when it comes to attempting to out ICE agents doing their job.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
We have a really good slate of candidates, I think, that are in on the Republican side. On the Democrat side, I think it will be fascinating because I think the 3 of them each have their own individual constituencies.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be fascinating to watch how they interact with each other in debate or in forums and whatnot, and what angles they take to try to get the most votes and win that primary on their side.
How would you describe the 7th Congressional District?
Largely rural. It's very diverse because you've got the wealthiest county in the state, a good portion, more than half of Williamson County, a good portion, about a third of Davidson County, and then you have the fifth largest city in Clarksville, Montgomery County, and then the rest is all rural counties. So there are 14 counties total, 2 partials and 12 fulls. So it's very diverse, goes from like I said, the wealthiest counties to some of the most poor, distressed counties that we've got.
How instructive has it been to you in the early stages of your political campaign? Because in a more limited area like you represent now, you probably know everybody.
Yes.
Or just about everybody. And now you're kind of reaching out, and you can find a very divergent focus of what a congressman should be doing in Washington, D.C. between, Franklin, Tennessee, and the rural communities between Franklin and Clarksville.
Sure. And I think that'll be the biggest challenge for whoever does win this seat and ends up in D.C. is trying to strike that balance, right? I think what we see happen a lot of times in a district like this is it's natural to get drawn to the part of the district where the most money and the most votes are, and sometimes the rural counties get overlooked. That's one of the things I think that I bring different to the table as far as the slate of candidates that we have, having represented rural counties like Hickman, Lewis, and Dixon County, and being born and raised there. Those are the folks that I relate to and know very well. I can go from the courtroom in my suit straight out to Dixon to the Livestock Center as well and talk to those folks. So I think I have the ability to kind of cross across the lines there.
Cheatham's in 7, right?
Cheatham's in, yeah. Yep. Robertson as well.
I would have prepared, had you been on a week or so ago, to ask you about all this TVA stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But boy, oh boy, that got handled. When you get Trump on the phone, our buddy John Rich gets Trump on the phone. Good for the people of Cheatham County, good for John, and good for TVA for recognizing the importance of backing off on this issue.
Sure.
And I know that you support that.
No, 100%. And, John and that fight with TVA is just proof that when you have somebody that's willing to bow up and dig their heels in and not take no for an answer, that you can get some things done. So John, with the people behind him and the power and the pressure that they put on, really got that done.
So, what is the priority for you as a candidate as you're out and about talking to folks, or what do you bring to the conversation in terms of what you think your focus should be in the 7th District?
Well, I think the thing that I lean on most is my record. For those people that don't know me and haven't met me, like you said, Hickman and Dixon County know me very well. They've known me my entire life. And they've watched what I've done over the last 3 years in the state legislature. So part of what I have to do now is go to the other 12 counties and introduce myself and show them my voting record, show them the type of bills that I've run over the last 3 years, and tell them, you don't have to guess what kind of representative I'll be in Congress. I got a record here for 3 years that shows you what I'm going to do, and this is the type of person I'll be.
So in the interest of disclosure, you've been on the show many times. You and I have disagreed on any number of issues. And I think a subject that will come up for you as in your campaign will be school choice.
Of course.
Obviously, you were vocal in your opposition to the school choice legislation that was passed by the General Assembly. I think ultimately 53 Republicans voted in favor, 20 or 21 voted against. You were one of the ones that voted against. Donald Trump supported that legislation. He came out in support of it. What do you say to folks about that? And I think you came out with a statement encouraging Governor Lee to adopt the Trump approach.
Yeah, well, what just came out of the big, beautiful bill was the codification of what Trump has been proposing all along, with a tax rebate or tax credit for folks that would be able to incentivize them to make donations into these scholarship programs, so that we were essentially privatizing school choice. Instead of having the government be in control of it and using taxpayer dollars to fund it, he's going about the process of creating a way for nonprofits to get formed and then give the people the incentive to give their own money to those scholarship programs, and then they turn around and award the scholarships.
But, isn't that tax money ultimately?
Well, what you're doing is you're not ever touching the money. The government's not taking it out of your pocket, which is, as a libertarian, someone on the libertarian end of the Republican Party, that's the way we look at taxation, is instead of the government taking the grain and telling you what type of bread you're going to get back, we're saying you keep your grain and you decide what kind of bread that you want to make.
Right, but if the federal government continues to spend at the rate that they're spending at, and less money goes into the federal government, through taxation because of these private scholarship setups, then we're adding money to the national debt.
You're reducing the tax burden for the taxpayer, for sure.
But once again, if I'm just trying to understand, if the expenditures stay the same, and instead of sending my $2,000 in my tax burden, that is the federal tax burden to the government, I send it to a private scholarship fund, that's $2,000 less going to the feds and going to the private scholarship fund, which I'm fine with. But unless we get a handle on the overspending, that it feels like that's just borrowing against our debt.
But I think that's part of the larger picture, right? You have to pull back from the 50,000-foot view and see all of what President Trump's trying to do with education. It's very clear that he is on a mission, I think, to do away with the Department of Education at the federal level.
Yeah, sure, certainly.
Which will certainly reduce spending at the federal level as we get rid of a lot of those jobs. And so the question will be then, what do you replace it with? And probably it looks like some sort of block grant program where we're sending large chunks of money to the state with instructions that say, hey, here's your money. You spend it how you want to with these guidelines as to what we want to see on the federal end.
You were on the record as saying, and you told me as much, that, when you talked to your constituents in your district, that they were soundly opposed to the school choice plan that passed the legislative process and was signed by the governor. Do you believe that the people of Williamson County or Clarksville and some of these other areas are so adamantly opposed? What have you found?
Well, I think it will certainly be a more diverse crowd. When you go from 70,000 constituents to 700,000, you're going to have a different view. I think widely across the rural parts of this 7th Congressional District, it was not a popular bill or plan the way they were doing it. I know even in Williamson County, there were parts of Williamson County that was not supportive. But there's a need that's different in those communities that have private schools, that have struggling public schools, inner city schools as well, parts of Davidson County that's dealing with this. So, I'd say that there's certainly going to be a more of a mixed bag on that. In my district in the 69th, it was probably 100-1 opposed. I don't think that's going to be the case across the 7th.
Could you foresee as a congressman voting against the Republican majority and siding with Democrats like you did on that bill?
Well, I would not put it in terms of siding with Democrats.
Well, you certainly did.
I would put it in terms of siding with the people that I represent in my district.
You voted against the majority of the Republican Party. I think that's a fair. We can look at it different ways, but that's a way to look at it. You are on record as saying that you didn't believe that it was an honest or open debate.
No, when you spend $1 billion in a 3-day special session and you don't have the ability to fully debate the
well, you better be getting ready for Congress, Jody.
Yeah.
They turn around bills in Congress in 12 hours.
Sure.
It's just going to get worse in Congress.
Yeah, the difference is that you don't have special sessions. When they turn around bills in that short period of time, that's when the votes get scheduled. But the bills have been sitting on the sideline, on the simmering burner for months before they get to that point. So it's a little bit different up there.
Well, certainly so. Well, we'll continue with Jody Barrett. We'll talk to him about recent events and recent developments in the halls of Congress, and does he believe that we can get to regular order by fall, which is the hope of many Republicans in the halls of Congress? And you never know. Jody Barrett might be up there come after, I guess, what'd you say, October? I guess December.
December 2nd, I think, for the general, yeah.
And this 7th Congressional District race is going to be boom like that. We've got another segment with Jody Barrett next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is not the end of a conversation. It's just the beginning of a series of conversations that we're going to have about the 7th Congressional District. Our guest is Jody Barrett. He is a candidate for said same. I want to put this subject to bed and move on to other things. You are on record as saying you are in favor of school choice.
Yes.
But you were against this bill just because of the, without going through it again,
we don't need to litigate that.
The method and the machinery and the way that it implements itself. You just disagreed with the implementation.
Love the concept, hate the how.
Okay. That's a fair comment and a fair statement and a fair stand. I imagine you love what's going on in the first 6 months of the Trump presidency.
Oh, we are winning. All the winning that we thought we'd get sick of the first 4 years.
Nope.
I'm not getting sick of it yet. Are you?
No, not yet. Not yet. Where do you? Have you followed? As an attorney by trade, you're probably better positioned to speak. Some of the Epstein stuff was a couple of missteps within the Department of Justice on the front end. Where do you think we'll get information and the transparency that so many of our our listeners want?
Yeah, I think there was probably a little political grandstanding at the beginning, talking about what they had and what was on the desk, so to speak, and which kind of puts you in a box. Once you roll that out there that you have that information, then that makes the people want to see it. And so now I think they're trying to figure out, look, how do we do this? How do we release this information without implicating innocent people as well? Because we know that not everybody that rode on that plane is a pedophile. Not everybody on that list was engaging in those activities. And so you have to be fair to those folks and make sure that you're only really implicating and going after the people that are the bad actors.
What, if anything, comes to mind when I tell you the first job that Jody Barrett will tackle, should he be selected as 7th Congressional District Representative, is?
Find where the bathrooms are.
That's fair, I suppose. The first task coming out of your office to benefit the people of the 7th District?
The first task really will be to set up my district offices and staff them to make sure that we have people in place that can hit the ground running on day one to be able to handle what the needs of the folks throughout the district. So legislatively, we'll have a list of things that we're going to try to work on. Certainly coming in the middle of somebody else's term, it's going to be very difficult for me to really make any big splash. And I don't know that I want to do that anyway. The first guy that comes into the duck blind and starts telling everybody else that's been there for 20 years how they need to be calling and shooting the ducks usually doesn't get asked to come back. And so, I'll go up there and try to just like I did 3 years ago here, try to make as many friends as I can, learn the lay of the land and develop relationships and figure out how things work up there.
If I gave you a choice of committee, what would you pick?
Well, obviously, I've had some experience in commerce and banking here in the state. I think that's with my business background, that helps quite a bit. But also with this district being so rural and agriculture being a big part of it, I'd love to serve on the agriculture committee. I think that would be something that would serve this district well.
Listen, I know it's going to be a compressed time frame, but we'd love to have you back when you're through Nashville. I know you're following through the district. A lot of candidates to talk to, a lot of candidates to filter through. And I know you'll be talking to a lot of folks and shaking a lot of hands. Thanks for taking the time today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I always look forward to speaking with you.
There's Representative Jody. Oh, by the way, where people can find out more. I like to give the old plug, the old plugger.
Sure, jodybarrett.com. All the information's there, and then you can go on Instagram, X, the X machine as you call it.
Yeah.
And then also on Facebook. It's Jody Barrett for Tennessee or Jody Barrett for TN.
And shout out to Leonard, by the way.
Leonard, my man. He's taking good care of me.
Leonard's your guy. So there's Jody Barrett. We've got news. We've got Nincompoops on the way. It's 32 after the hour on Super Talk.